Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 3, Book 47, number 769. Narrated by Abu Humayd al-Sa'idi. The Prophet appointed a man from the tribe of Al-Azd, called Ibn Utbiyah, for collecting the zakat. When he returned he said, "This, i.e. the zakat, is for you, and this has been given to me as a present." The Prophet said, "Why hadn't he stayed in his father's or mother's house to see whether he would be given presents or not? By him in whose hands my life is, whoever takes something from the resources of the zakat, unlawfully, will be carrying it on his neck on the day of resurrection. If it be a camel, it will be grunting. If a cow, it will be mooing. And if a sheep, it will be bleating." The Prophet then raised his hands till we saw the whiteness of his armpits. And he said thrice, "O Allah, haven't I conveyed your message to them?" Volume 3, Book 47, number 770. Narrated by Jabir. The Prophet said to me, "I will give you so much." The Prophet pointed thrice with his hands, "When funds of Bahrain will come to me." But the Prophet died before the money reached him. When it came, Abu Bakr ordered an announcer to announce that whoever had a money claim on the Prophet, or was promised to be given something, should come to Abu Bakr. I went to Abu Bakr and told him that the Prophet had promised to give me so much. On that Abu Bakr gave me 3 handfuls of money. Volume 3, Book 47, number 771. Narrated by Al-Miswar bin Makrama. Allah's apostle distributed some cloaks but did not give anything thereof to Makrama. Makrama said, "To me, O son, accompany me to Allah's apostle." When I went with him, he said, "Call him to me." I called him, i.e. the Prophet, for my father. He came out wearing one of those cloaks and said, "We kept this cloak for you, Makrama." Makrama looked at the cloak and said, "Makrama is pleased," or the Prophet said, "Is Makrama pleased?" Volume 3, Book 47, number 772. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. A man came to Allah's apostle and said, "I am ruined." The Prophet asked, "What do you mean?" He said, "I had a sexual intercourse with my wife during Ramadan, while fasting." The Prophet asked him, "Can you manumit a slave?" He replied in the negative. He then asked him, "Can you fast for 2 successive months continuously?" He replied in the negative. The Prophet then asked him, "Can you feed 60 poor persons?" He replied in the negative. In the meantime an Ansari came with a basket full of dates. The Prophet said to the man, "Take it and give it in charity, as an expiation of your sin." The man said, "Should I give it to some people who are poorer than we, O Allah's apostle? By him who has sent you with the truth, there is no family between Medina's 2 mountains poorer than we." Allah's apostle told him to take it and provide his family with it. Volume 3, Book 47, number 773. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. My father was martyred on the day of the battle of Uhud, and his creditors demanded the debt back in a harsh manner. So I went to Allah's apostle and informed him of that. He asked him to accept the fruits of my garden and excuse my father, but they refused. So Allah's apostle did not give them the fruits, nor did he cut them and distribute them among them, but said, "I will come to you tomorrow morning." So he came to us the next morning and walked about in between the date palms and invoked Allah to bless their fruits. I plucked the fruits and gave back all the rights of the creditors in full, and a lot of fruits were left for us. Then I went to Allah's apostle, who was sitting, and informed him about what happened. Allah's apostle told Umar, who was sitting there, to listen to the story. Umar said, "Don't we know that you are Allah's apostle? By Allah, You are Allah's apostle. Volume 3, Book 47, number 774. Narrated by Sahl bin Sa'd. A drink, milk mixed with water, was brought to the Prophet, who drank some of it while a boy was sitting on his right and old men on his left. The Prophet said to the boy, "If you permit me, I'll give the rest of the drink to these old men first." The boy said, "I will not give preference to anyone over me as regards my share from you, O Allah's apostle." The Prophet then put that container in the boy's hand. See Hadith number 541. Volume 3, Book 47, number 775. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. I sold a camel to the Prophet on one of the journeys. When we reached Medina, he ordered me to go to the mosque and offer 2 rakat. Then he weighed for me the price of the camel in gold, and gave an extra amount over it. A part of it remained with me till it was taken by the army of Sham on the day of Hara. Volume 3, Book 47, number 776. Narrated by Sahl bin Sa'd. A drink, of milk and water, was brought to Allah's apostle while a boy was sitting on his right side and old men were sitting on his left side. He asked the boy, "Will you allow me to give it to these people?" The boy said, "No, by Allah, I will not allow anyone to take my right from you." Then the Prophet put the bowl in the boy's hand. Volume 3, Book 47, number 777. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle owed a man some debt, and that man demanded it very harshly. The companions of the Prophet wanted to harm him, but the Prophet said to them, "Leave him, as the creditor has the right to speak harshly." He then added, "Buy a camel of the same age and give it to him." They said, "We cannot get except a camel of an older age than that of his." He said, "Buy it and give it to him, as the best amongst you is he who pays back his debt in the most handsome way." Volume 3, Book 47, number 778. Narrated by Marwan bin al-Hakam and al-Miswar bin Makrama. When the delegates of the tribe of Hawazin came to the Prophet, they requested him to return their property and their captives. He said to them, "This concerns also other people along with me, as you see, and the best statement to me is the true one, so you may choose one of 2 alternatives. Either the captives or the property, and I have not distributed the booty, for I have been waiting for you." When the Prophet had returned from Taif, he waited for them for more than 10 nights. When they came to know that the Prophet would not return except one of the 2, they chose their captives. The Prophet then stood up amongst the Muslims, glorified and praised Allah as he deserved, and then said, "Then after, these brothers of yours have come to you with repentance, and I see it proper to return their captives. So whoever amongst you likes to do that as a favor, then he can do it. And whoever of you wants to stick to his share till we pay him from the very first fee, i.e. war booty, which Allah will give us, then he can do so." The people said, "We return the captives to them willingly as a favor, O Allah's apostle." The Prophet said, "I do not know who of you has given his consent and who has not. So go back and your leaders may present your decision to me." The people went away, and their leaders discussed the matter with them, and then came to the Prophet to tell him that all of them had given their consent to return the captives willingly. Az-Zun, the sub-narrator, said, "This is what we know about the captives of Hawazin."